I think that a lot of people don't understand that it's all of the challenges and struggles that's going to make them, it's either going to make or break them. It's how you look at the problems and how you use them to fuel you. So what you have to do is frame it inside of your mind and understand that all of those problems are going to allow you, give you the fuel and the unlimited motivation that you need to become a successful and beautiful individual if you frame it in the right way. If you take a man and give him a life shielded from problems that he never has any to face, I guarantee you he's terrible at being a man. The best men in the world have gone through shit. That's why women love scars. Because it didn't kill you. That's the whole point of it, right? So the best thing you can do as a man is look and go, okay, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard. I feel negative because these are all so difficult. I'm struggling with X, Y, Z. Let me internalize all of that and turn it into a superpower. Let me become genuinely uncomfortable with my situation in life and go and fix things. Because, like I said, the universe is absolutely and utterly very giving. And if you truly hated being in the position you were in, you wouldn't be there very long. So I think that the number one problem with the world today and the biggest problem that men face isn't the problems themselves. It's just the way that they've been taught to mentally frame issues. People think when bad things happen to them that somehow they're a victim to the universe and bad things only happen to me and this is so terrible. They don't understand that bad things happen to everybody, and the most successful person you know had all those probably, maybe even worse, at least the same bad things happened to them. They just framed it differently and used it. That's the difference. So I don't pray for an easy life. I pray for a life of difficulty that allows me to become a better and better person. I pray to become more competent to handle problems. I pray to put myself in a position where if the mass media machine attempts its very best to destroy my life, I can laugh and smile from my villa in Dubai. This is who I pray to become. I don't pray that nobody hurts me. I pray to be able to fight. So it's a different mentality. I think a lot of people build their mindsets around trying to feel good. So that's why we were talking earlier about people who want to ignore the idea of personal responsibility or self-accountability because they feel better if they pretend it's not a real thing. They feel better if they pretend everything's someone else's fault. A lot of people's mental model and how they view the world is based around them feeling as good as possible. So when you sit there and talk to somebody who has the mask on and they refuse to believe the elites are laughing at them, it's not because they can't comprehend the ideas, it's because they feel better if they don't believe that they are a clown to the elites. I feel better if this is really all innocent and it's really all about a disease. So people are basing their mindsets around trying to feel good. I have always tried to base my mindset around absolute competence regardless of how I feel. And there are certainly disadvantages to that. There are times you're going to be a lot more pessimistic, or you're going to be a lot more stressed, or a lot more, pissed off about certain things than others. Yeah, that can be seen as a downside, but like I said, I use all of those things for unlimited motivation to propel my endless upward trajectory. But if you construct a mindset that allows you to be as competent as possible, as opposed to feel any different or feel better, then you're going to naturally come to the conclusions I've come to. You're as competent as possible if you believe you can affect absolutely everything about your life. You're as competent as possible if you believe absolutely everything that's happened to you, whether good or bad, is completely your fault. You're as competent as possible if you believe the bad things that happen to you are going to allow you to work harder and become even better. When bad things happen to me, the first thing out of my mouth is good. 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 That's just my response. Good. 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 Now I'm really pissed. This mindset I've constructed allows me to be as fearsome a competitor as possible. It allows me to be a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor, and that's the point of a mindset. Why would you have a mental model or a mentality that made you anything less? In the ultra-competitive world that we've just discussing that everybody wants the things you have, why would you absorb information or construct a mental model that doesn't allow you to be as competitive as possible? I am a feared competitor in anything I do. Anyone who's up against me at anything is going to feel a degree of nervousness just because it's me. It doesn't matter what it is. If you say, look, you're going to go learn how to play piano, and you're going to play against someone else who's never played piano, and you're going to learn, and that guy's Andrew Tate. I can't even play piano. But part of them is going to be like, oh, even though I have no piano experience, because they just know me. They know my mindset. They know my determination. They know I'm stubborn. They know I don't quit. They know I'm going to win. That's just who I am. So I've constructed a mental model that allows me to be competent and to always succeed. And that's how I've come to the conclusions I've come to. And I truly, once again, don't understand how people go through the world with any other mental model. I get asked all the time, but what do you feel? Or what about happiness or depression? That doesn't even... How I feel doesn't cross my mind. I don't know how else to explain it. There are days where I'm pissed off or sad or happy. It doesn't cross my mind. It's just like I woke up, whatever mood I happen to be in, I have things I need to do. It's a busy day. Zuby's here soon. I need to go training before he gets here. I had a meeting with the bank at 7:15 a.m. I have shit to do. Like, I didn't cross my mind if I was happy, sad, excited. I just had to work. So I think my mental model, to a degree, I'm certainly not a person who doesn't feel emotions, because we're all human. I certainly do. But I've never prioritized them in any regard. I haven't built a mental model that affects, I haven't put them in the middle of my mental model and then affected my actions based on how I feel for each one. It's absolutely and completely the opposite. I would love to do a podcast on a day where I'm particularly sad and a podcast on a day where I'm particularly happy, and I guarantee you wouldn't be able to tell the fucking difference. So that's what allows me to be competitive, right? Because if you're competitive, if you want to be the most competitive predator on the planet, you have to be able to hunt in the day and the night. You have to be able to do both. You have to be able to perform when you're happy and sad. You can't only be able to perform when you're happy. You can't only go to the gym when you're motivated. You can't only be a competent person when your life's going well, because when your life's not going well, you're no longer competent. Then you're going to lose to people like me. And it's player versus player. If you're the kind of person who can only do well when you're happy and you're competing against someone like me who can do well all the fucking time, guess what? You lose. So my mental model, the answer is most of my opinions are just based around constructing a mental model that allows me to be brutally competitive. It's why I say depression is inevitable. I've argued this point endlessly. And I try and explain to people, but they're not smart enough to understand that I don't care if I'm wrong. I don't care. I am more competitive as an individual if I don't believe I can become depressed. So I don't give a fuck if I'm right or wrong, because no matter what bad happens to me in my life, even heaven forbid, the worst things on earth that could happen to me, I could never become clinically depressed, because I would never self-diagnose myself as clinically depressed, because I don't believe it. I believe that I am currently sad, but I have work to do, and eventually I will feel better. I will never get to a point of absolute desperation and kill myself, because I'm never going to get to a point of hopelessness, because I don't believe in the idea of hopelessness. You cannot try and make me adopt thinking that will reduce my competitiveness as an individual. So I don't give a fuck if I'm wrong. I don't believe in it. That's it. End of story. So I don't believe in things that take power away from me. I don't believe in things that make me less competitive, and I don't adopt mental models that make me less competitive. Every single mental model I have are the most efficient ones I could find. To the mental model I found that if I adopt, I become a more fearsome predator. That's it. So this is how I've come to all of my conclusions as an individual.
Feeling depressed is real.
Yeah.
Depression as a disease, I do not subscribe to. The idea, I believe, that if you feel depressed, something is depressing you, and you should try your best to fix it. You should take control of your life and do your best to fix it. The idea, but they don't say that. They don't talk that. They say depression like it's this magic thing that comes out the sky and it gets in your brain, you're sad no matter what, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you need to only take pills. And I think that's a very bad way to look at the world, and that's a bad idea to subscribe to. And if you start to feel depressed, let's say your girl leaves you and you start to feel depressed, but you believe in the idea of depression, you're now going to start diagnosing yourself as clinically depressed, self-hypnosing yourself into hypnotizing yourself into being clinically depressed. And it's amazing how you can speak things into existence. I cannot become depressed because I don't believe in it.
So how about chemical imbalances in the brain?
Bullshit. That's all been disproved anyway.
Really?
It's all been disproved. Firstly, that's all been disproved. And secondly, even if that was true, even if I had a chemical imbalance in my brain, I do not believe in depression. That's just who I am as a person. I don't believe in it. I do not believe in things that take power away from me. So, and people sit there and they try very hard to convince me it's real, which is actually quite interesting because it's always usually depressed people who sit there and try very hard to defend this idea. If you're so scared, if depression's so terrible, why are you sticking up for it? Why are you fighting so hard to convince me it's such a powerful force? Why shouldn't you be doing the opposite? Shouldn't you be listening to me? Whose team are you on? Like, do you want to be depressed? Like, it's insanity, these people who are so desperate to push this idea. It's garbage. I think that you feel depressed sometimes because you're human. The best option, the best thing to do is still to get up, be an adult, control your emotions, be stoic, and do the things you're supposed to do day after day. Laying in bed and doing nothing is never going to be the best option. The best option is still to go to the gym, to work hard, to run your business, to be successful. So it doesn't matter. We're talking about the different positions on the chessboard. But if the rules of the game remain the same, regardless of the position you're still trying to win, you still have to do the same things. So does it even matter at this point? If you come along and say he's depressed because of X and he's depressed because of Y and he's depressed because of Z, and the answer to all of them is still the same thing, then I don't give a fuck why you're depressed. All I know, what I will state as a matter of fact, is this world is hyper-competitive, especially as a man. Most men are walking through life and they don't realize that it's constant competition. They realize they're in endless, constant competition. Every single pound they want, someone else wants. Every single girl they want, someone else wants. There are people like me out here. I will destroy, you could get all 30 of them in a room and I will sit by myself and absolutely annihilate them in any single metric. And they're just sitting there just fucking floundering and wandering through life, unaware of how competitive the world is.
Well, and whinging how unfair
And
it is.
whinging and how unfair it is. And this is my point. If the world is truly that competitive, you do not have time to be depressed because it's a non-competitive mind state. You could be depressed for X, Y, Z, whatever. I'm not depressed. And I want the money you want, and I want the girl you want, and I want the status you want, and the car you want, and the house you want. And I'm going to get it, and you're fucking not. And that's the bottom line of life. What I'm saying is you're playing a game, and it's a competitive game, and you need to build a mindset that allows you to be ultra competitive. And if you want to sit there and say, no, I want a non-competitive mindset, then fine. You know what you call people who do not win competitions?
Losers.
Correct. It's just the bottom line of life. And it's kind of interesting because everyone pretends they give a fuck, but nobody does. If you ask a woman the kind of man she wants, she will never say depressed or sad. Ever. She wants a man who is ultra capable, ultra competent. So the world doesn't care. The world has never given a shit about sad men. So if you're going to sit there and self-diagnose yourself as a sad man, you're going to have a shit life and nobody's ever going to give a fuck and you're going to perpetually lose forever. And that is your decision. The idea of that terrifies me to the point where I don't even want to accept that as a reality that can possibly exist. I don't give a shit what happens to me in my life. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if the worst, most heinous things I can possibly imagine happen to me. I know that my sadness, my depression will be temporary because I will never stay a loser. It is against my creed. It's not in my DNA.